Hey guys, Janet here, aka Gameonysus, and today we are doing the celebration of 100 subs Ask Me Anything video, and I'm just really thankful and excited for what the rest of 2018 has to offer and for hitting even more milestones so I can make kind of these special one-off videos for all of you guys. I have a Google Doc with all the questions that you guys gave me from Twitter, from Patreon, from Facebook, and anywhere else basically. So I'm just going to jump into it by popping up my Google Doc and then just reading through your guys' questions. So let's get started. All right, first up we have some questions from Twitter. So we have from Mike, whose handle is @SrFluffy Fox. What are you most excited about when it comes to creating content? What are some goals you want to meet for this year? So what I'm most excited about when it comes to making my content is, I think, learning more stuff and finally getting able to implement all the ideas I have. There's so many like new series I want to start and different types of videos I want to do, but I kind of have to hold back a little bit at first and slowly roll things out. I want to make sure that I can be consistent before I kind of build on top of things. So like some things I'm looking forward to like making vlogs and just learning more about editing and improving my editing skills. So that's kind of what is most exciting for me, as well as just kind of building community. I love gaining more subscribers, more followers, and just having people interact with the work I make. That's always what's most exciting when it comes to making content at all. Some goals I have for this year: I want to reach 1,000 subscribers on Twitter. I want to reach 100 patrons on Patreon. So right now that's at, I think, 11, maybe more. So that's cool. I want to reach Twitch affiliate status. I am slowly getting into streaming on there, so looking forward to building that up. And other than that, I want to have 1,000 followers on Twitter, and then I haven't made any Instagram goals yet, or Facebook goals, but that's some things I want to do this year. And yeah, I would say that's about it for 2018 at least. Down the road, I definitely also want to be going to conventions. I want to definitely this year meet more people that are in the gaming scene, both in Chicago and also just online. So those are some of my goals. We have a question from Lauren, I want to say Lauren Keller. Her handle on Twitter is @ChickenDinosaur, or at least it was when she asked this. I don't know if she changed it or not. But she says, if you could will a good educational game into existence right now, what would it teach players? Who would be the intended audience? And what would some of the game mechanics be? So I would love to see a game that was like kind of like a simulation of like real life adult bill paying and like credit card debt and managing all that stuff, because I feel like that's stuff that I didn't really get as a younger person and I'm slowly understanding now. There's actually a really cool game that already exists called Play Spent. I think it's like playspent.org. I'll link it in the description, but it's a game that my roommate and friend Maggie actually told me about, and it's a simulation game where they have you live on minimum wage, and your goal is to basically survive and pay rent, and you have to make all these like moral decisions, like you broke something in the stock room, but if you come clean, you have to pay for it out of your check, and that's like $30. So do you come clean or do you hide the evidence? And then they have all these consequences that happen. So I would love to see like an updated version of that game, because that game doesn't really follow like current minimum wage anymore. And I also just want to see one that's more based on like debt management. I don't know how like fun that would be or how to kind of make that work. But I think that'd be a great educational game for people to play in general. It would be really cool for consumer education classes in high schools. So the intended audience would be like high school or college aged people. And the mechanics would be kind of like a point and click type thing, because it would just be like a management sim sort of, but like a management of your own debt. So that's a game I would love to see. Also from Lauren, we have what's a game/game moment that you really connected to on a personal level? If there isn't one, can you share a personal story or experience you'd like to see represented in a game? A lot of game moments have connected with me on personal levels. I'm not the biggest Journey fan, but for some reason, like, this is semi-spoilers, but also Journey's so old. When the little guy was like walking through the snow and slowly started to like descend into the snow, that was just a really emotional moment for me, and I don't really know how I connected to that, but it I empathized with that greatly, like just seeing that on screen, and it like kind of brought me to tears a little bit. Other things I connected to on a personal level, I don't really love it as a game, but Severed, which is it's like the game mechanics are basically, it's a touch screen, so you can play it on Wii U. I think it just came to Switch also, and it's on iOS and a few other platforms. It's on 3DS as well. So you just kind of slash like limbs off of people, or enemies really, and then you like gain powers, and there's like an ability tree and a skill tree and stuff. But like the storyline of that game is really cool because it's so much about like sadness and sorrow and anger, and it's very much like a like Latino influenced game. It's made by the same people that made Guacamelee. So Drinkbox Studios, I believe, is the name of the developer slash publisher maybe. And I love seeing like this girl's story kind of unfold on screen. So her name's Sasha, and she's like presumably Latina, and she doesn't have an arm because it got cut off like at the beginning of the game, and she spends the whole time like just being really like emotionally distraught, and she kind of comes to the end of the game, and to not give too much away, there's like a moment of like acceptance and clarity that she has, and I thought that was really moving, and I connected with that as an emotional person, but also as a Hispanic woman. So other than that, I would say Celeste, of course. I deal with myself with depression and anxiety, so that game was just like very forward in its connection to me and a lot of players, and I loved it. It had such a beautiful message, even if you're not going through those things, just this idea of like how to find calmness, how to accept the dark parts of yourself, how to just kind of become at peace with what your flaws are and who you are, and this idea of like kind of being okay with just going for something for the sake of going for it. And yeah, it was a really like complex, layered game, and even if you're not feeling that stuff, the platforming was awesome and super difficult. So I love that game, both as a gamer, it connected to me, and as like a person, it really like resonated with me as well. The last one I think from Lauren is, if you could wipe a game from your memory to experience it for the first time, what game would it be? This is kind of hard to answer because I don't really want to, I think, wipe any game from my memory. I guess a game that I think would be fun to experience for the first time again might be like the Ratchet & Clank series, just because I feel like I've fallen off of my love for that series a lot as of the recent years, because it feels like it's kind of the same thing over and over again, and I think if I could play it for the first time, I would rediscover the joy I once had for it. So that would be the game I would play again for the first time. This one also comes from Twitter. It comes from my friend Ian Dobbins, and it is, what are your top 3 moments that made you love being a gamer? I think for this I'll go with just kind of the standout moments from my gaming history. The GameCube era was a really big time for me, so just playing like all of those Smash Bros tournaments with my brother. We would do like a tournament of 64, just the two of us. It was insane. It took hours. I don't know why he was willing to do it, but I also don't know why I'm not better at Smash after all those hours. It's kind of upsetting. So that was one big moment. I did this really, really fun tournament in college with my suite mates, where we like had this big, like, long tournament that involved multiple games. And it was like point based, so you'd like get awarded certain points for like ranking at a certain level in the game. So we did it with Mario Kart, Blur, Soul Calibur 4, I think. Soul Calibur 4? One of the Soul Caliburs. Mario Party, Mario, but for the N64, like Mario Kart. And I think maybe like 1 or 2 other games. I think GoldenEye might have been involved. I'm not really sure. I don't remember. But that was really fun, and just kind of like people got really into it. We had a prize that was like a poster from the Oatmeal, like the Wookiee Jesus poster from the Oatmeal. So that was just really cool to see everyone get like competitive and involved. Both people that were, from people that were really hardcore gamers to people that were a bit more casual. Like everyone found, joy in that experience, and that was really cool. And on that same note, at work, I work at a school, and I've been like just doing stuff with my students in terms of games. So like being involved in gaming club and all of that has been really inspiring and amazing, just to connect with other people and watch other people connect with each other and find joy in gaming, and just complete like pure enjoyment of it in a way that I think sometimes is easy to forget, especially when I'm doing what I'm doing in terms of games journalism, where sometimes gaming can feel like work. So it's just nice to be reminded of like the beauty that comes with gaming and how it's just fun, and that's why we play games first and foremost, to have a good time. So those would be the top 3 moments, I think. Cool Kason handles at Bowman Kason. I think there's an underscore in between Bowman and Kason. Hey, how do you make money? So that brings me back to my last point. My regular job is just teaching high school English. So that's the main way I make money. But in terms of my video game related stuff, I make money through Patreon. So thank you guys for supporting me on there. That's been awesome. So for that, there's different tiers of rewards. I'll link that in the description so you guys can check that out. I also get paid for writing and doing some video content for Nerd Much, which has been an amazing experience. I've been doing that for about a year, and those would be my 2 revenue streams right now. I did land a freelance gig with Kotaku recently, so I got some income from that as well, and looking forward to just kind of expanding my source of income in terms of gaming stuff. So I just got a Twitch, or kind of reactivated my Twitch, so I'm hoping to get some money through that as well, and just kind of, you know, finding a bunch of different avenues to make a living off of. This one comes from Edwin, which is the handle is Edwin Garcia 88, who is also my brother, who asked quite a few questions on here, and you guys can actually check him out in a recent video I did, which was the unboxing of the Brawler 64 controller, which is the like souped up remade N64 controller that isn't weird looking, so check that out. So what's an easy game you hate and a hard game you love? Okay, all right, I have to redo that. And I haven't played too many easy games that I hate. I guess the first one that comes to mind, which is not like a popular opinion, but like the old school Pokemon games, I did like those when I was a kid, loved them when I was a kid, but now that I'm older and tech has advanced so much, they're kind of just like whatever. They were like kind of boring to me. So hate's I guess a little bit strong, but yeah, I can't really bring myself to play through those anymore. A hard game I love would have to be any difficult platformer. The first one that comes to mind is of course Super Meat Boy. That's probably one of my proudest moments in gaming, beating that with a like keyboard and not a proper controller. So yeah, any difficult platformer would fall into that category for me. So Super Meat Boy, Celeste, or anything like that. Most disappointing video game ending, also another hot take. First thing that comes to mind for disappointing game ending, well, 2 things actually. One would be if you get all the power cells in the first Jak and Daxter game, you like put them into that like mysterious door, and it cuts to you looking at the characters, and they're like, wow, oh my god, is that what I think it is? And then the game's just over. That's upsetting. I feel bad for any kid that did that and had to wait like so long to get Jak 2. But other than that, I think the most disappointing video game ending would actually be Super Mario Odyssey. Not the, like, and this is spoilers if you haven't played it yet, skip a little bit ahead, but it wasn't the, like, the becoming Bowser was amazing, and, like, just being super OP and running through everything, and it was, like, a really satisfying ending to that game, but what was disappointing about it was everyone told me that, like, the story aspect of it and, like, what the twist at the end with Peach or whatever was so, like, incredible and like transformative, and then in my head I'm like, is it gonna be something lame, like she just kind of leaves both of them behind, and that is what happens. As well as there's a moment where Mario is consoling Bowser, which I didn't understand, because aren't they like enemies, and also like, you know, isn't he like kidnapping Peach? So, like, it just kind of ended on a note that made it seem like this is all kind of for nothing, and also like everything is a sham. So that was disappointing. The next question comes from HP at Kenyan HP. Are you digital or physical with your Switch library? I have a mixture of both because the Best Buy Gamer Club and money, but want to go digital so bad. I think that's basically kind of my answer. Though I would say I'm basically physical. The main reasons I'm physical with my Switch library are because I love physical games. They are a little bit less convenient, especially when you are using a system that can be a handheld. So I do take my Switch out quite a bit, and not having all the games with me at once isn't super convenient, and neither is carrying all the cartridges either, because it kind of just feels like you can lose everything at once. But the same goes for the system itself, so I guess it's kind of the same difference. But the main reason that I love having physical, besides the collecting part where you can kind of have it on your shelf and see it, and have that bit of history. It also saves memory on your console. And the very last thing is I am quite paranoid. I do feel like with digital, I don't feel like I ever own it. I feel like I'm kind of like renting it, basically. And if something happens with like servers or just like data corruption or something, I feel like I'd lose everything forever. But with physical, I mean, I have that until, obviously, even physical things eventually degrade, but by then I'll be dead and I won't really mind. So that is why I am a physical gamer. Also, just like HP mentioned, I have Gamers Club unlocked as well as, you know, a GameStop Power Up Pro card, and I like the, you know, you can get these really cool, like bonuses when you like pre-order physical copies, and you can also just get a general discount on things, and digital games are really rarely discounted, especially when they first come out. So for all those reasons, I am definitely totally physical with my Switch library. There are some games I kind of wish I had digitally and on me all the time, like Mario Kart, and a few others, but I feel like it's still worth it. I love having the cases. The next round of questions comes from Patreon. So these are from people that are supporting me on there at either the $1, $2, $3, $5, or $10 and up tier, each of which comes with its own string of incentives, and each tier gives you all the benefits from the previous tier. So check it out if you have not already. First question of Patreon comes from Jess Reed, who I previously worked with on my last channel, Bit by Bit. I'll link that in the description below. But she asked, if you could play a video game version of any TV show, what would it be? I would say How I Met Your Mother, choice-based kind of dating sim type thing. I want to be able to right some of the wrongs that the characters have committed on that show. There are some decisions that were made that I would not have made, and I want to see how it would play out differently. She also asks, what is your favorite late night snack to eat while gaming or otherwise? I wish I had the bag with me because I actually just finished eating this yesterday and I already threw it out, so I can't show you guys it. But I recently really got into the Chicago mix of popcorn that you can buy at Trader Joe's. So for those of you who aren't familiar, the Chicago mix means that you have like cheesy popcorn and also caramel popcorn, and it's all mixed in one, and the cheese and the caramel go together so good. It's amazing. Normally I don't really like popcorn, but the Chicago mix of popcorn is awesome. If you have not tasted that before, go ahead and have that. It's not, the Trader Joe's one isn't as good as the Garrett's mix, but it's pretty good and fairly close. So if you're a fan of that but maybe aren't like buying Garrett's all the time, because I really only would eat Garrett's when I was like bringing someone in that wasn't from town and had never had a Chicago style bag of popcorn, and I'm like, we have to go to Garrett's. So yeah, I've started getting into that recently, and it's kind of dangerous because I love it so much and I really just want to eat like bags and bags of it, but that'd be really bad for me. Louie Martin asks, if you had to pick 10 and only 10 games with you to play for 5 years on a deserted island, can bring any console you want, what would they be and why? So this is really difficult because I want to say Switch, but the Switch has not been out that long, so there are not that many games for it, which makes this kind of a hard question to answer. But I think I am still going to go Nintendo Switch because it's my favorite console right now. I love it. And then the other thing, too, is since it's both a console and a handheld, I can kind of take it around the island, and, you know, I don't have to be just confined to one area. I can just kind of explore a little bit and continue gaming. So if I had to pick 10 games, that's difficult because there aren't that many games that I would want to play for 5 years on Switch. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a whirl. So I would have Breath of the Wild because it's super long and I actually have not beat it yet. So hopefully on the island I can finally defeat Ganon. And then also, one of my goals is to get like all of the really cute outfits in that game. And then there's plenty of other stuff to do. There's the Korok seeds, there's the shrines. So Breath of the Wild is definitely one of them. Then I'm going to go Xenoblade Chronicles 2 because I've never played that game and it's a genre that I'm not really familiar with. And I think it would give me something to mull over on the island and kind of figure out. So that would be cool. The third one, I would go with like a classic arcade game. So I have to check what my options are on the Nintendo Switch eShop, but I just want some version of Pac-Man. I realize a lot of those games come in bundles, and it's kind of like, that's sort of cheating to me for the island. So I would literally only play Pac-Man. Like, that's the one thing that I want on there because it's one of my favorite arcade games and games in general. I would also take The End Is Nigh because I haven't beaten that yet. saving it for the island. And there are enough collectibles in there that I think I could replay it quite a bit and still like it. It does feel a lot slower paced than Super Meat Boy, but still really difficult. And it has like, it kind of, the way the game works is there's like save points between the screens basically. So it's not, even though it is very difficult, it's not like so punishing that it's discouraging, I don't think. So I would have that one on there. For number 5, I would have Splatoon 2 because I love that game and I really want to work my way up to level 100 and X rank, I guess, now. So I don't know if I can do that in 5 years, but I'm going to try. So nothing else to do on the island, right? I can test out all the weapons, keep a journal on that. That would be fun. Could have a really cool article to write when I get back. The 6th game I would have would be Super Mario Odyssey. I'm not necessarily itching to go back to this one, but there is a lot to do. You know, I could always just mine for coins all day until I get all the outfits. So, you know, that'll be a decent use of my time, I think. Then I would also have Just Dance 2018. I got really into Just Dance this year, and I think it'd be a good way to get me moving on the island. And also, it's a way that I can listen to music because I don't think I have a phone or anything else on the island. So that would be a good use of my time. The next game I guess I would have would be Mario plus Rabbids. I recently beat that one. I do wish I get Trapped on the Island after the DLC comes out, because then I'll have something to actually additionally play, but I haven't done any of the bonus levels in that. I haven't gone back and done any of the extra hidden stuff. So I think I have a lot to go back to there, and it's slow paced enough that it's not really stressful. I think it's a good island game. And for my last 2, I really don't know, because that's kind of all I can really think about. I guess I'm going to go ahead and trust my brother and get Gear Club Unlimited, because he's been really enjoying that racer so far. So I'll just cop that. And then for my very last game, what am I taking with me? For my last game, I'm going to do... I don't really know. I guess if I'm being taken right now and not after E3 and everything, I guess I have to go with like, I don't know. I guess I'll get around to finally playing Battle Chef Brigade, because I've been hearing amazing things about that. So my list of games would be a mix of games that I love and feel like I could always go back to, which honestly, it's really only like Breath of the Wild and Splatoon 2 for those, but a few of the other ones I wouldn't mind going back to. And then I'll have a few new games that are fairly long. I don't think this is the strongest list of games, but for the longest time as a gamer, I really didn't own that many games. So, oh, no, I know what I would do. Take out Battle Chef Brigade. I would bring FIFA. I'd bring FIFA 18, and I would just play FIFA a lot and make tournaments against the computer, and that would just be kind of a regular game that I would keep going back and playing. So that's actually what my list would be. Now, granted, it's going to be really weird going from playing FIFA 18 to playing, you know, the one that comes out when I get back from the island. You know, that's okay. I'll catch up. The skills are somewhat transferable, so we'll kind of see what happens when I get back from the island. Also, which is also from Louie Martin, which consoles do you own and what are your preferences for third parties, i.e. which consoles do you usually buy them for and why? So currently it's mainly Switch. Like if it comes out on Nintendo Switch, I will get it for the Switch, with the exception of if I feel like it's a game that benefits from having higher graphical fidelity. So I realized this recently. Some of these games just don't look that good on Nintendo Switch. They just don't. So I bought Doom for Switch, and then I was like, you know what? I need this on my Xbox One. On that note, when I'm not getting it for Switch, my default is Xbox One. The reason that I prefer the Xbox One over the PS4 was because I bought it before I bought the PS4, and because I like the controller better. I just kind of grew to really love my Xbox One because it was the first console I had of this generation that I personally owned. Like before that, I had the Wii U. So I just kind of got attached to it. It became my default console. So I really will get so few things for PS4 because I'd just rather have them on my Xbox One. I just love the controller design. And that's literally the only reason why. Just the controller. This next chunk of questions comes from Facebook's Nintendo Voice Chat Podcast Forums. So this is a podcast group that I am a part of, and it's kind of a fan group for the NVC podcast, which is IGN's Nintendo podcast. Really great show and cool community group, so definitely check that out if you guys have not already. So this one comes from Marcos Carranza, or that's how I assume that you say that. So he has, with VR chat popping up and allowing so much to be integrated, I think is what it should say, integrated into VR play, do you think we are making our way to something similar to Sword Art Online, obviously without all the dying and getting trapped? I'm gonna say no. So I did have to look up what Sword Art Online was, and it's like a, you know, like anime basically, that has to do with like being in VR and having to like beat the game, and if you die in the game, you like die in real life or something like that. Like, it's got some weird VR stuff going on. So I don't think we're making our way towards that, because VR still just really isn't accessible for a lot of people, because you have to buy, like, you either have to have a PC that's powerful enough to run it and then also buy the equipment, or you have to have a PS4 and then also pay for basically what would be another PS4 plus some to get PSVR. So it's just not really financially viable, and it's not really worth it, because there aren't games that are exclusive to VR that are like really worth getting. Like, there is no system seller for VR right now. VR is very much just like a fun experience, like a cool thing to do. Like, oh, this is nice, this is interesting, but it's not like producing really high quality games. And since so few people have access to it, like, it just really isn't blowing up like that, and I don't see it blowing up anytime soon. I'm going to stick to my kind of original philosophy on VR, which is that it would be best for an arcade experience, but we don't really have arcades like that anymore. So VR is just kind of in an awkward position. So I don't think we're going to approach like a Sword Art Online type lifestyle anytime soon. This one also comes again from Edwin Garcia. What's the last video game to make you cry? And I think it would probably be, I guess it would probably be Journey. Once again, I don't really know why it was emotional for me. It just was. What's a genre you want to get into but haven't yet? I would say that would probably be like JRPGs, I guess. So I've never really played one, and everyone just raves so much about them, and the people that love JRPGs really love them. And I have played some RPGs, but they've been pretty like easy. So like, yeah, I played Pokemon, but that doesn't really like mean I'm into RPGs. So I'm interested in getting into that genre in general. And I'm not really sure how to go about doing that, or what a good starting point for that would be. And the games are so long that they're kind of a turnoff to me for that reason. But I love expanding my knowledge on genres and on games in general. So that's definitely something I want to get around to. Jim Sahoda is, I think, how you say that. Jim Sahoda says, I'm interested in getting into YouTube too. Which program do you use to edit your videos? So originally I was editing on my MacBook, and I just used iMovie, the free iMovie that comes with any MacBook. Nowadays I am using Adobe Premiere to edit, so that costs about like $20 a month, I think, to have it. And I just literally started using that. Like, this is one of the first videos that I'm going to be editing on that. For capturing the video itself, whether I was on iMovie or on Premiere, I usually used OBS for video capture, though after a while I got kind of lazy with that. I decided to just use Photo Booth to capture video, and I just stuck with that. And then when I edited it, I just zoomed in so that it wouldn't have like the black bars on the side. And that's literally it. Sometimes what I used to do too, back when I felt like it was worth it, I would do OBS for video capture and then Audacity for audio capture, and then I would sync up the video and the audio. I kind of stopped doing that because it kind of created more issues than it was worth, and I felt like it didn't really like create a stark difference in audio quality compared to what I was doing if I would just use a program that captured both the audio and the video. Micah Brown asks, what are your favorite games to play for different moods? Happy, sad, stressed, whatever. Video games for moods? I don't really have anything in particular. That I don't think of games in that way, but I guess if I'm trying to address this question, I would say when I'm happy, I don't know, I can play kind of anything. I guess I kind of play for the same things. For if I'm feeling extreme emotions, usually if they're negative more than positive, I'll kind of go to like a game that feels like comfort food for me. So that usually involves playing Splatoon 2, just because it's pretty mindless. You can just go in, I don't have to play ranked. I probably wouldn't play ranked if I was sad or stressed. I would just do turf wars, put on an album or a podcast, usually an album for Splatoon 2, and then just play turf wars for like an hour and just kind of like relieve my stress that way, or kind of take my mind off of the emotional slump I'm in. Other things I like to do as well, to an extent, I think this could fall into the happy category as well as like the sad and stressed one. Playing Breath of the Wild and then just like catching up on a podcast. This is a really weird thing about me. A lot of people think it's really strange that I'll listen to music or podcasts while I'm gaming instead of the in-game music. And they're like, you're, ruining the experience for yourself. And I don't know, maybe a little, but I like just being able to like go through Hyrule and then catch up on my podcasts. That's something I like to do when I'm happy, when I'm sad, when I'm stressed. It just kind of is a nice like treat yourself moment or a soothing thing for me. And it's like my go-to thing to do. So in short, Splatoon 2 or Breath of the Wild for all moods. Oh, and that brings us to the end of our questions. Crazy. Okay, that felt like it took a long time, but then it suddenly felt like it was over kind of immediately. Thank you guys so much for your questions. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have more questions for me, be sure to leave them in the comments below. If I, for some reason, missed your question, let me know that as well. I tried my best to collect them all in one space, but I'm sure there's a slight possibility that a few maybe got lost in the woodwork. Let me know if you guys have any ideas for cool celebration videos I could do for hitting subscriber benchmarks. So for this one, I did reaching 100 subs, we'll do an AMA. For 200 subs, which I actually already reached, thank you guys so much for subscribing. I'm going to do a room tour because people have been asking for that for a while. So it's going to be my 200 sub celebration. Let me know what I should be doing for 300 subs because we are actually so very much on our way to that, which is really exciting. Third month of the year, we are on pace for hitting that 1,000 before 2019. So thank you guys so much for supporting. Make sure to give us a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe if you have not already subscribed. Be sure to check me out on all my social media channels as well as my Patreon. My handle across the board is @Gameonysus. So check out what's going on, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Patreon, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys here next time.